Okay, so this video is going to be to help you understand how to do the diagrams. So um, in the slide set, there were two different sets that said elastic collision diagram and the other set said an elastic collision diagram. And basically, it goes step by step if you're able to see it in a PowerPoint, but I don't know if you guys do have that ability. So I'm going to go through it step by step so you guys all know what to draw, how to set it up, and this would be how you do any of your collision problems, okay? So first up, for elastic collisions, you're going to have two objects. They're going to collide. This symbol is what you're going to use to show a collision. And then you have two objects afterwards. Now, it doesn't matter what the object is, I want you to draw it as a circle. Okay, so just like with a free body diagram, you just drew a dot, you're just going to draw a circle like this. Okay, this could be a house and a car, it could be a tree and like a flood, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is you're talking about, you're going to have these objects drawn as circles. Okay, now you want to label your objects directly, or label the variables directly under the objects. So we're going to have M1 on the left, we're going to have M2 on the right. Okay, so this is before the collision. Over here, these objects are still the same, so you're going to still have M1 and M2. Now, we also need to know the velocities. So we're going to have V1 initial, so the initial velocity of this object. We're going to have V2 initial, the initial velocity of that object. We're going to have V1 final and V2 final. Okay, now I'm using I's and F's for initials and finals because I don't like using numbers for initials and finals when we already have numbers for the objects. The AP board likes to use numbers for initials and finals instead of letters, but you're fine to do letters. It's okay. All right. Now, to get the equation from this, what you'd want to do is just treat them in columns, and I'll show that in a minute. But the other thing to keep in mind is this diagram is a generic diagram. So there aren't any directions shown on these circles because I don't know the direction of the objects. This is just a setup. So when you're doing the diagram for an actual problem, you need to make sure you draw the velocity vectors attached to the circle in whichever direction it goes. So for example, if this object, the second object was moving to the right, then from the middle of the circle, you draw an arrow to the right. Okay, if the object was going up, then from the middle of the circle, draw an arrow going up. If it was at an angle, then draw it at an angle. Okay, so whatever the objects are doing, draw that on the actual object in the correct direction. If the object is at rest, then you don't draw a velocity vector on it. Okay, now I like to label which way is positive directly over the collision symbol. This is assuming it's a one-dimensional problem, but if it's a two-dimensional problem, then just add a vertical component for the positive direction. You can make down positive if you want to, but the standard is to make going up and to the right positive. Now, these columns are going to basically give you your equation. So basically what we're looking at is we're going to look at the momentum before the collision and the momentum after the collision. So M1 V1 initial is that initial momentum for this object. But we also have this object over here. So we're going to add the momentum of this object to the momentum of the first one, and that's the momentum of the total system. Now, if you notice, the symbol has the equal sign within it. That's on purpose. So you remember, okay, this is so that we know this is equaling the momentum over here, which is the final momentum of the system. So the final momentum of the first object plus the final momentum of the second object should equal the initial momentum, because this is just assuming the conservation of momentum. Right? Your collisions are assuming that you don't have an external force acting on them. And so this equation will work in all elastic problems as long as you have these variables being used. If you change the variables to say like MC for M1, then all the ones where you say M1 should say MC. But this structure is going to work on every single elastic problem. Okay, it's very simple. So that's the setup. You're not going to find this setup in any textbook. Okay, I taught this system to myself in college. It works every time. Ever since I've been tutoring, I've taught it this way. But I've never seen this method of doing it in any book. So you're not going to probably find anybody else that does this on the internet. Just follow this method. I don't care what you find on some other source. This is what I'm expecting you to do in class. So if you're doing the practice questions from the slides or the practice questions from the book or the homework, I want you to practice this method because I'm going to be grading that you do it this way. Now, inelastic collisions are a little bit more complicated. You can have two objects that become one, okay? And in that case, what's happening is there's some permanent change to the structure of the object. So there's energy loss, but the momentum is still conserved, right? We need to label out the masses like we did before, but the final mass we're just going to call M, and we're going to note that M is the combination of the two masses we had on the left side. We still need the velocities, but here we have the need for initials. Over here, with the numbers, over here we just have a final. So we're just going to write V final. We don't need to write V1 or V2 because there's only one object at the end. Remember that the direction of the object should be drawn from the object. Okay, so the vector should be attached to the circle in whichever direction the object is actually moving. And that goes for the final as well. So, you know, if you only have these two numbers given to you, you should be able to guess which way this is going to go. And so you draw the expected direction. If you're wrong about it later, just erase the arrow you did and draw the correct direction when you get the answer. Now, the column trick works the exact same way. But before you do that, you want to make sure you label which way is positive. Again, this is assuming one dimension. If it's two dimensions, just draw the vertical component for the positive axes. And now you take your columns. One thing to be clear on, the blue is just for you guys to see the columns. Do not circle them like that. It's not needed. The only time you should circle or box anything is to box your variable that you're missing and the variable you're looking for. So the reason why it's in blue is so you don't actually do it yourself. So go ahead and just take these columns. So you see you have this initial momentum plus that initial momentum before you get to the final. So you're going to add those two momentums. It's going to equal the final momentum that you have over here. And so this equation is what works for elastic collisions where you start with two objects and it becomes one. Now the problem with inelastic collisions versus elastic is they actually come in two forms. So the other form of inelastic collision would be where you have one object that becomes two. Okay, now technically it can become more than two, just like you can technically have more than two objects up here that become one, but your examples are going to be limited to two. So we have one object here becoming two. This is pretty common, like a gun firing a bullet. That's this kind of a collision, or a cannon firing a cannonball. They started as one object and they are two objects or two separate objects after they have been fired. Okay. Now, in this case, we're just going to have M for the left one. We're going to have M1 and M2 for the right. So M is still the combination of the two masses. So it's basically the same thing we had here, just flipped. And because this combined mass is at the beginning, we have VI for that velocity, and then we have V1 final and V2 final. Remember to put the direction for your objects, and remember to label which way is positive above the collision symbol. And basically what you'll do there is use your columns to get your equation. So you're going to have MVI equals, and then you're going to have M1 times V1 final plus M2 times V2 final. Okay, so both of these inelastic collision examples are showing again that whatever momentum you have at the beginning has to equal whatever momentum you have at the end for the system as a whole. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is you could use this type of setup even if they're asking you to figure out like a force or a time. The force and time, which basically gives you the impulse, is happening underneath this collision symbol. So if you had to label impulse, force, or time, you would do it right here underneath this symbol in a column, just like you do these, okay? But the setup of these problems like this is meant to be easier for you because it technically gives you the equation in the diagram. You just go, okay, this column plus this column equals this column. It could not be easier, all right? And this is the same method you'll do when you're doing the harder energy collision problems. So I want you to make sure you're doing it this way. You will lose points if when I give you a math problem, you do it a different way, you're not going to get full credit. So practice it this way. It simplifies it for you. It makes it much less likely that you're going to get it wrong if you set up the problems like this. So you have two types of inelastic collisions, and then you have one type of elastic collision. So the elastic is nice because it's always going to look like this if it's elastic. So if it's an elastic problem, 2 objects at the beginning, 2 objects at the end, you know immediately what it's going to look like, and you know immediately what the equation is going to be. If it's inelastic, you have to think about, well, okay, is it 2 objects to begin with and then becomes 1? Or is it 1 object that then becomes 2? And that should be pretty obvious, but that's the only like limitation that you have to do when it comes to inelastic, is decide, well, am I doing the top one or the bottom one? Okay, so those are the 3 types of collisions you'll see, and that's how to set up the problems.